Okay, so we've had the draft this week in the WWE. Syfy channel is now going to air SmackDown. Obviously, that's going to mean less possible viewers on in the US. And it seems that the B show, which has been the B show for a long time, is going to have an even more pronounced gap than it had before with the A show Raw. The draft basically robbed 99% of the main eventers and the big names from SmackDown and moved them to Raw without moving any of the others back again. Just looking at the two rosters here, look, we've got on SmackDown, obviously, Swagger's the champion, so perhaps they'll use SmackDown more to push the younger guys forward, I hope so. They've got Drew McIntyre, who, despite being British, is Scottish, not English, and is rubbish. Don't like the guy. I think that the character they've given him's just a bit old. It's just, it's an easy rub to give him Vince's endorsement and make him the bad guy because Vince has endorsed him. It's just easy. The shining light out of the title holders when you look at the roster actually is the fact that Beth Phoenix, who won the women's title at Extreme Rules, is the women's champion and probably is the biggest star of all of the champions there, to be honest. Just look at the rest of the roster. I mean, all right, they got Christian, but Christian, WWE is still burying him, really. He lost to Swagger on Raw. He's never going to be pushed to that Edge main event standard, which is a shame because I think that would be a brilliant little program to see him and Edge going at it for a belt. I'd like to see that. The biggest name, obviously, in the SmackDown roster is, as it probably was before, The Undertaker. But The Undertaker doesn't need to be on Raw to be pushed. He's making his money working 6 months out of the year, and is quite happy there. And is probably the guy, if you're going to push the younger talent through SmackDown, is probably the guy to be there because he keeps the locker room tidy. He stops any of the silliness going on. Who have we got that are really big other than The Undertaker? I mean, Rey Mysterio. Rey's always going to be a bit of a joke as far as I'm concerned. That the idea that this guy competes with the likes of Cena and Batista and things like that, it's a step too far. MVP, one of my favourite wrestlers, but has been mid-card now for so long on the WWE that he will, in my opinion, end up going the way of Shelton Benjamin, who was released this week by the WWE. He'll never get where he should be for his talent. Now, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes in the WWE at all. We really don't know if the guy's a bit of an arse, if he doesn't work well, if he doesn't put in that extra effort that's required to be a guy who is the face of the company. John Cena, don't like him, manufactured to death, but works his ass off for the WWE, and that's why he's where he is. The guy's wrestling talent is mediocre at best, but he is good on a mic these days. He's learned a lot about mic skills and is quite good at it, particularly when they have him being funny. Quite like that sort of side of him, but he really does work hard. And the guy, if he's not wrestling, he's off doing something for the company. Perhaps that's what MVP is lacking. Perhaps it's just complacency on the side of the creative team. We've got the big stars. We don't need to build big stars, and he's got lost in that period where they didn't do that, and now they're only realising they've got to. And when a guy's been mid-card for that long, it becomes difficult then to push him upwards because you've sort of given him a level. Matt Hardy, again, apart from the brief flirting over the top, I think his brother's shit has killed his chances with the WWE, to be honest with you, of ever being a proper main eventer. And Batista, Randy Orton, Edge, Jericho, end of the market, if you like. Kane's a fairly big star, I suppose, but probably had his day. CM Punk is probably the biggest star, other than The Undertaker, on that show now. I personally would have liked to see Punk go to Raw. I think he's brilliant on the mic, and I think the straight edge thing, although they've now got another member, although we don't know who that is yet, I think that the straight edge thing could be done a lot better than it has been. And I think it's got a lot more potential than it's being used. And I certainly think Punk is someone who's been a champion and will be a champion again. He's just... Vince loves his big guys. He really loves his big guys. And the likes of Orton, Batista, Cena, Triple H for other reasons, but as well as being that big guy who is good on the mic and everything else, they're always going to get the bigger push. Show's still there, or Show's gone there. That's again, Show's another guy that hasn't lived up to the potential that he should have done with his look and his size, but we all know that he previously at least has had problems with his attitude. Now, if you go to the Raw roster, you've got a very different story there. We've got Cena as the champ, obviously. We've got The Miz as the United States champion, as he's no longer the tag champion because they lost it the other day, who is without a doubt going to be the top of that mid-card level, Intercontinental US Championship level sort of thing for a long time. Whether he has the look and he's big enough for Vince and co to push him as a world title contender, I don't know. I think him and Edge and him and Jericho fighting each other would be good little programs. We've obviously now got the new tag team champions there on Raw, which is the New Heart Foundation, whatever they call it themselves, with nobody from the actual Hart family in it, quite amazingly. All right, David Boy Smith's son, he was married to somebody in the Harts, but there's no actual Harts in the Hart Foundation. Hart Smith, Tyson Kidd, and Natalia's some uncle's daughter. But apart from that, we've also got Batista, we've got Jericho, we've got Edge, we've got Cena, we've got John Morrison, we've got Randy Orton, Sheamus, Triple H, and you know the big guys. That's probably about it. But even the undercard guys, you've got R-Truth, who's going to be massive in the future. He's obviously gone there with Morrison, who again is going to be massive in the future. You've got Evan Bourne, who should be pushed a lot further than he is. Carlito, who's brilliant. Who else do we have down there? That's and Ted DiBiase. You know, all the arguments of who was the star out of Evolution. Evolution wasn't Evolution, was it? Evolution. All ones of I can't remember what they were called. That's pathetic. Him, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes. Look who's on Raw. Look who's on SmackDown. Rhodes has gone to SmackDown, and probably won't hear very much from Cody Rhodes. To be honest with you, they're going to, by the sounds of this, push DiBiase, his brother, and Mr. Perfect's son. I haven't seen his brother or Mr. Perfect's son wrestle particularly, so we'll wait and see what goes on with that. But I think that just looking at the rosters, you can see how big the gulf is that WWE perceives between Raw and SmackDown. I think it's the wrong way to go, personally. I think with TNA being, as they are, pushing at the gates of WWE, or think they are at least, the way that WWE should go with it is they should run one of the shows as a PG-rated show and one of the shows as a higher-rated show where they can do a bit more and be a bit more outrageous. We'll discuss that further at a later date. As the time is getting along on this video, and I've just waffled. I'll post it anyway, see what you all think. Comments welcome, please do get back to me. I'm always up to discuss what other people think, although I'll be right. Okay, see you all soon.